Hey, welcome into the Stinking Truth Podcast alongside my partner, Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. Man, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. This is an exciting week in the NFL. It's franchise tag deadline week, and we've seen some players tagged. How do you feel about the franchise tag? Well, the player in you and now the fan and media type in you.
Listen, it really doesn't, but I know a lot of guys look at the franchise tag as some, the ultimate slap in the face, right? But it is something that was negotiated. It is something that the owners are not going to give up. It is something that pays you just huge money, but it lacks, that long-term security that you want as a player, right? And you want to be loved like any profession. We all want to be loved. We all want to be, wooed, if you will. We all want to be given a lot of money and all those kind of things. But, if you can play it to your benefit, like quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins played on that franchise tag several years in a row in Washington until they parlayed it to an $84 million fully guaranteed contract. So I think you can use it to your benefit. Here in Denver, Justin Simmons did it on back-to-back years and then parlayed that into a big-time, long-term contract. But I think for the most part, guys don't like it, and they look at it like it's a big slap in the face.
Yeah, but they shouldn't, because, first of all, it is something the players agreed to in the collective bargaining agreement. I love it as a fan. The football fan in me loves it because it is a weapon, and a weapon, you should use it. And to me, the best thing about it is that it buys you time as an organization. It buys you time to try to work out that long-term deal and smooth over whatever feelings that may exist between the organization and the player.
But you don't. But as a player, you never look at it like that, because if you slap a franchise tag on me, what you're really trying to do is not pay me market value. You're trying to get a hometown discount.
Okay, but can I tell you something?
Yeah.
As a fan, I really don't care about the feelings of you guys.
No, I
really don't.
I understand.
I care about what's best for my team.
Right. I understand that, and that's exactly how the team looks at it. Right. So this is where you have to, as a player, have wise counsel. You have to sit there and say, okay, at some point, if they come to me a year early, or they come to me at the very beginning of a football season where we haven't, like, training camp, that how much of a discount do I give them to get that fully, the full guarantee? If I get a 4-year, 5-year contract, but that money up front that I'm going to get that's guaranteed, that large, that 30, 40, 50, $60 million up front. Like, what is that security worth to me and to my family? Because the thing I know about the National Football League, it's not if you get injured, it's when. There is 100% certainty you will get injured. It's just going to happen. Now, some of them are career-threatening. Some of them are season-threatening. Some of them are just, bothersome. But you're going to be injured. So you have to start being able to weigh that out. And what happens to you is, frankly, it's an admission by the franchise. If we let you get to the point where you're a free agent and we have to slap a franchise tag on you, one, what does it say? We didn't believe in you. We didn't think that you were going to amount to what you've amounted to, right? So it admits, as a franchise, as a management, we were wrong. We were wrong about you, okay? You proved us wrong. So we didn't come to you early. So that's the first thing it tells you. And then it says, hey, man, we love you, but we love you at our price, right? And so, that's what Lamar Jackson's going through. That's what all these people that are going to get franchised, Tony Pollard's going to go through in Dallas, some of the other guys that are getting franchised right now, that's basically what they're saying. Like, hey, we missed on you. We should have done right by you, but again, we're not going to pay you market value.
But can I kind of debunk one of the myths that are out there about the franchise tag, that, oh man, if you put the franchise tag on a player, he's going to be unhappy and he's going to be a malcontent and it's just not worth the trouble. I don't buy that at all, because these NFL players, they have a very limited earning window. And you really think they're going to sit out? Like we were talking about Draymond Jones here in Denver. You really think he's going to sit out and not get paid $20 million for 1 year? Of course not. And you think he's going to go through and loaf and all that kind of stuff and be unhappy? He's got to play for that next contract. He's got to play for the year after the franchise tag year. So the idea that these guys are going to sulk and pout and aren't going to be motivated, I don't buy it.
I don't buy that either. But I will say this, and this comes down to team chemistry and team wins and stuff. Do you become an independent contractor? And so you can show up every day and you can practice your ass off, and you can play your ass off, and you can be productive. And you know what? You can do that for yourself. And then there are times when you're asked to take on a double team and hold off a double team or hold off an offensive player so they can't get to the linebacker. And you're like, forget that. I ain't taking on that double team. That doesn't show on your stats, and it doesn't necessarily show that you're loafing. It doesn't show up anywhere necessarily on film except for the team that's asking you to do it. Because you know what, like the majority of people who evaluate game tape out there, or the fans that watch it, or they don't know what that particular play, what the nuance of that play is and what they're asking you to do. So you can still play really hard, and you can perform, and you can go to Pro Bowls, and you can be all pro, and yet you still cannot be – you can still not be the reason like that you're winning, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you can still be a deterrent to winning in to some degree,
even though you're playing hard and you're making some business decisions along the way.
Right? Yeah, you're still going to grade out well. You're still going to do things. You know, you're still going to do things for yourself, but not necessarily the team. And that comes down like when you become, and I always talk about this with the NFL, when you decide as a group that you're going to be a bunch of individual contractors, right? Independent contractors. What ends up happening is you don't play together. You don't play for the good of everyone. And there are guys on every single play that are asked to be the sacrificial lambs. It's kind of like a receiver that knows the ball's not coming to him and runs a half-assed route. You know, lollygags it across and so then all of a sudden, when that happens to you, you know what happens in spacing? You don't create spacing. So what happens to the defense? All of a sudden, the underneath coverage gets to cheat. Instead of being held at 8 yards, they get a drift to 12 because you're not running a legit route. And when they drift to 12, you know what happens? All of a sudden, a tip ball that shouldn't be tipped gets tipped, and it's a pick, and everybody says the quarterback sucks, and it's really the guy running an underneath route that sucks, that didn't do his job because why? He's an independent contractor, and his ball's not coming to – I know the ball's not coming to me. I'm just the guy that's running the underneath route that's gonna hold coverage. Well, I'm gonna do it half-assed, and the coverage is gonna cheat. So that's the complementary nature of football. And if you don't get guys sold out, guess what ends up happening? Like I said, your quarterback throws a pick that shouldn't be thrown, and it's not his fault, but he's got to wear that damn thing. And then he looks at you like, really, dude? That's the effort you gave me on this play? And that's what causes that. That's the difference between championship football teams and teams that have a ton of talent that are always 8-8.
Well, we did see, though, a couple more examples that not too much gets held against quarterbacks because they still find a way to get paid. Derek Carr, Geno Smith.
Yeah.
So let's start with Derek Carr. He goes to the Saints, 4-year deal, about $100 million guaranteed. He goes from being the third best quarterback in his division to probably being the best quarterback in his division.
In the AFC, or he goes from the fourth best in the AFC West, maybe, depending on how you feel about. He was probably better than, not probably, he was better than Russell Wilson this year.
A lot of quarterbacks were better than Russell Wilson.
Yeah, okay. So, but theoretically, I get that. And then, Tom Brady retired, right? Who's going to be the quarterback in Carolina? Is it Sam Darnold? Who's legit? Who's going to be the quarterback? I don't know. So there's Tampa. There's Tampa and Carolina, and then Atlanta. Is Desmond Ridder going to be your guy? You automatically become the number one quarterback in the NFC South, which is great for the Saints. Although if you put up Andy Dalton's numbers last year and Derek Carr's numbers last year, Andy Dalton obviously playing for the Saints, Derek Carr playing for the Vegas Raiders. I think Andy Dalton's numbers are probably better or right. They're pretty much neck and neck numbers wise.
Are they similar quarterbacks? Is there that much of a difference? Did the Saints Overpay?
I think legitimately that Derek Carr is a better quarterback. I think and he's got a bigger upside. So I don't think there's any question about that. But you look at the Saints and where they are kind of salary cap wise right now, it really lends you to question, okay, what can you keep around Derek Carr? He signs a $150 million deal, right? Like you said, close to $100 million guaranteed. I think it's 70 some odd million or whatever it is guaranteed. But now you got to make decisions.
This is, by the way, a Saints team that was $17 million over the cap,
right,
before they even made this deal.
Yeah. Now you got to make decisions on like guys like Ramczyk, guys like Andres Pete. There's guys like Marcus Lattimore. There is a bunch of guys that you're going to have to make.
Alvin Kamara.
That you're going to have to make decisions. Are they going to be a part of our football team? Michael Thomas. Is Michael Thomas ever going to be healthy? Is he a guy that you can rely on? Is he a guy that you can count on? Like, there are a lot of question marks with the Saints right now in regards to how they're going to manage their football team. And, I look at a team like the Denver Broncos right now. Like, who knows those players better than Sean Payton? Mm-hmm. And the Broncos are one of those teams that have a lot of cap space, so that they can manage their cap better. So all of a sudden, are there a few of those Saints players that you covet that you go, hey, man, we can instantly, like, let's face it, here in Denver, if you're a fan of the Broncos, or if you followed the Broncos, or if you haven't, I'll just tell you, they've been trying to solve a conundrum at right tackle for how many years? A decade? Seriously, a decade? Ryan Ramczyk? Are you kidding me? If you go get him, play right tackle for you, instantly solidify that position. Who knows him better than Sean Payton?
Right.
Nobody. So, by the way, the O-line coach played with the Saints. Has been the assistant O-line coach with the Saints. Zach Strief. Who knows Ryan Ramczyk better than Zach Strief? Nobody. Like, there's going to be some wheeling and dealing with the Saints players because of the signing of Derek Carr.
Have you seen, in all the years you've been around the NFL, have you seen a journey quite like Geno Smith's?
No. I mean, you think about it, like, I got this timeline. Let me just pull it up really quick because it's my boy Trey Wingo who did this timeline on his Twitter feed, and of course I've lost it, right?
Yeah, this happens, folks.
Yeah, you just
Mark with his phone.
Yeah, you got to bear with me. Okay, here it is. The Geno Smith career arc comes from my buddy Trey Wingo. Okay, plays Words with Friends as the last guy left in the draft room in New York City. 2-year starter, and a teammate breaks his jaw with a punch. Remember that?
Yep.
Backup journeyman for 6 seasons. Then balls out in 2022 and earns a 3-year, $102 million deal, 52 in year 1. You want to talk about a dude that was left for dead.
Yeah.
It's like the old Monty Python. Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!
It's a flesh wound.
Yeah. He's not dead. I'm not dead. He'll be dead any minute. Right? I mean, what an incredible, and then to sit there and watch what he did last year, the way he threw the ball, the way he commanded the huddle, the way he handled himself. I got to do several Seattle games. I got to meet with Geno several times, man. What a pleasure it was. And flat out told me, man, I want to be a coach one day. Like, this journey has prepared me to coach. Now that he's got a $102 million contract, right, and 52 guaranteed to the first year, he's not going to have to coach when he's done. But what an incredible journey for Geno Smith. It's just a lesson in perseverance and hanging in there.
So for all the 12 fans out there, all the Seahawk fans out there, so is this a signal that Pete Carroll believes that Geno Smith is his quarterback of the future? Or is this, hey, we like him for now, but we're not absolutely convinced? They've got a couple of first-round picks. They have the Broncos pick in the Russell Wilson deal, high up. Do they still take a quarterback to groom?
That's a great question.
No rush. They could play behind Geno for a few years.
I think ultimately we've gone full circle in the way we used to draft quarterbacks. You drafted a quarterback. He sat for a year or two. He learned, the pro style system, and then he got his opportunity to come in. And now we just draft them, throw them in there. If they fail because of the rookie wage scale that we created, we just kick them to the curb and start with the next guy. And but what an incredible opportunity to potentially draft a guy and not have to have him play right away. Like what a great learning curve. And then to learn it from a guy like Gino, who has kind of gone through the ebbs and flows and had his struggles and really understands the game. Like that would be a remarkable, because you've got those extra first round picks. So why not take a flyer?
But Pete Carroll pretty well. You've done a lot of Seattle games over the years. This is just me from afar, but I would think that Pete Carroll looks at the quarterback position. Hey, I discovered Russell Wilson.
Sure.
I turned Geno Smith into the quarterback that we just paid for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to invest a high draft pick in a quarterback. I'm smarter than other people when it comes to quarterbacks. I'd rather use those high picks on a real football player.
Yeah, I think that Pete Carroll probably used the high picks on defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that Pete Carroll looks at, and we had this conversation before, Pete and I did, about getting back to what he said. This is back to your day, the dinosaur day. This is back to 90s football. Be like, run the ball, control the clock, that's what Pete Carroll wants to do. So, I could see him investing defensively because that's what his background is, and saying, this is how we're going to run our offense. We're going to grind it out. We're going to run the ball. We're going to set up our play action. We're going to do those things. And then we're going to rely on winning close games defensively, creating turnovers and getting a short field and, kicking field goals and scoring on short field touchdowns and those type of things. So, I definitely believe that Pete Carroll believes in that style of football, and he wants to build a football team that's got that kind of mental toughness and that kind of approach to the game.
I know that people have been looking to try to predict the demise of the Kansas City Chiefs for some years now.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, they lost Tyreek Hill. Okay, here it comes. And, well, we all see how that played out. Orlando Brown, not going to re-sign. Frank Clark released. Are we seeing some legitimate pieces falling off here for the Chiefs, the kind that could bring them back to the pack?
As much as I would like to say yes, no. I think they've done what really good teams do. Like, here's what bad teams do. You see this all the time. So bad teams have a position of strength. They've got one group that's really a position of strength. And you know what they do? In the subsequent years, they neglect drafting and developing that position. And then all of a sudden, guys leave for free agency, guys get injured, guys retire, and all of a sudden that position of strength becomes a true position of weakness. And you're like, oh, shoot, what are we going to do? I think the good teams build themselves and understand the importance of those positions. I think the Kansas City Chiefs have been grooming I know they've been grooming some young guys that they love. They love that they think are ready to play. And that's why you can say to Orlando Brown, hey, man, you were essential in us winning another championship. You were essential in our run the last couple of years when we got you from Baltimore. But guess what? Good on you. Go out and make big money somewhere else. You're not making it here. And I just believe that that's how they run their organization, very much like what the Philadelphia Eagles have done. You look at the most dominant offensive line in football, Philadelphia. A couple of years ago, they drafted a kid in the first round named Andre Dillard, he's been a spot player at both tackle and guard when somebody else is hurt. But he's a first rounder that's never really played. Last year, they've got one of the best centers in football, long in the tooth, in Jason Kelsey. They go out and get Cam Jurgens from, I think, Nebraska. And I'm watching him play in the preseason. The kid can flat out play. Like, they have done a really good job of filling those gaps and grooming players to take over in those positions. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs are as well run as anybody in football when it comes to, understanding what they want at each position, grooming those guys to play. I think they do a phenomenal job. So as much as I would love for the Kansas City Chiefs to fall on hard times, I think, one, their quarterback is going to keep them afloat. Two, I think their management under Andy Reid and everybody else over there, I think they're smart enough to really understand, what's important and how to groom young players to become players.
So what you're saying is any possible reports of their imminent demise premature.
Yeah. How many times have they won? They've beaten the Broncos, 15 straight times?
Yeah.
15 straight wins.
Yes. It's bad here, people. It's very bad.
It is terrible.
It's terrible here.
Right.
It's terrible.
How many years is that? You play twice a year, right?
Yes. Okay, here we go, folks. Watch Mark show off his math skills. He's very proud of his math.
Twice a year, yeah. 7 years, right? It's 14.
Yeah. 7 plus.
7 plus 1, 15. 14 plus 1 is 15.
Look at this guy. This guy. High five.
Tell me that general studies degree from the University of Idaho is not paying off.
It's they are proud. They're proud of you right now. They're in Boise.
Mm-hmm. Don't even start. They hate me in Boise.
They hate you in
and
Boise.
And I love that they hate me in Boise.
Are you Moscow?
We're not in Russia.
No.
It's Moscow.
Oh, Moscow. Okay,
yeah,
my apologies. Yeah. Moscow, Idaho. I know they're very particular about that. So we're talking about franchise tag. Mm-hmm. We're talking about guys that are now out there in free agency. What about trades? How about the juicy rumor that Derrick Henry and his 1 year remaining on his salary at just $10 million, very, very team friendly, could be on the block?
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to transition to? I mean, Tennessee Titans are a big, strong, physical, downhill football team, right? And Derrick Henry has taken all the pressure off the quarterback there, and what do you transition into if you don't have that dude?
Maybe they realize they're just bumping into a ceiling with this style, and they got to break it down and go in a different direction.
Well, I mean, what are you going to do? Then are you going to redraft quarterback position? You're going to kick the can down the road and start over again?
If you feel this way is a ceiling that you're just not going to burst through, then maybe that's the way you do it.
Well,
break it all down.
All right, so they're one team that has been able to, over the course of time, at least play Kansas City close in the AFC. That style of football has been at least able to keep the games close. So now I understand the shelf life of running back. If you're looking at Derrick Henry and the physical pounding, he's more delivering the physical pounding than taking the physical pounding, but what he did at Alabama and then, of course, what he's done in Tennessee, and you start to look at the shelf life of a guy like that, you start to think to yourself, we're probably nearing, the end of the tire on the tread.
Is this the classic, and Vrabel, all those years spent with Belichick, is this a classic case? Belichick always felt, move on from a player, it's better to move on from a player a year early than a year late.
Yeah,
is this a classic case of that?
This does not. This to me is a different. There's a different player involved here. It's not. Hey, we're moving on from a DB, 1 of 4. We're moving on from a defensive lineman. This is how you've built your entire offense. This is the way you built it, and so to move off that player, you have to ask yourself, do we have a quarterback in place? Can we transition? Can we pivot and go in a different direction? And my answer, my answer would be based on, I did a Tennessee game this year. No, you don't have the offense to pivot. By the way, I mean, and maybe you're looking at Roger Saffold, who is one of the most dominant guards in football. He's a free agent, and he's 34, 35 years old. I mean, how much longer is he going to play? They already released Tyler Lewan. Maybe they are going, hey, this is a rebuilding year, and we're going to start compiling draft picks, and we're going to change the outlook of our franchise. And maybe they're just this is an admission that, hey, man, we're no longer in competition to win this division. We're changing. This is kind of they fired their GM last year. Maybe this is a whole change of the guard in Tennessee.
Now, one last story I want to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to prepare you, okay? I don't want you to get too excited.
Okay.
I don't know if you have a seatbelt down there. You might want to strap in or something like that. Okay. There's smoke, and some may say when there's smoke, there's fire. This might just be more like a little ember, that's just hasn't really caught yet, right? There's still some belief out there that Tom Brady's not done. Oof. There's still some people out there in the NFL world that believe Tom Brady is not done.
From your lips to God's ears.
I knew that'd be your reaction.
I hope he plays. I hope he plays.
Really?
Sure. Why wouldn't I?
It didn't end well in Tampa. Do we want to see our greats kind of stumbling around at the end? Do we want to see Michael Jordan hoisting up jumpers for the Washington Wizards?
What didn't end well? Tom Brady played well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course he did. I mean, yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not play well. Of course, they had, essentially almost 5 new starters on their offensive line. They couldn't block people. They couldn't run the ball. They had injuries at the wide receiver position. Yeah, like offensively, they did not produce like they've produced in the past. Still made it to the playoffs, albeit with what was their record, 9-8?
8-9.
8-9? They went to the playoffs with an 8-9 record? Are you sure? Come on. Look at those chubby little fingers going to work.
Stop it. We're on TV. I don't want
to. Are you nervous about your chubby fingers?
Well, I mean,
I like the way you go through this.
You're kind of calling me out here. I mean, in a way that's just to confirm. Tampa was 8-9.
8-9. Yeah, not stellar, huh? Boy, how bad was the NFC South?
Right? That's why Derek Carr's looking at going,
yeah,
here we go.
Dude, but could you imagine if Tom Brady just slides in as Brock Purdy is rehabbing his elbow
Mark,
in San Francisco?
2 straight off seasons he said he retired. And this time he said, I know last year I left some, but this time I mean it. Now he's going down the Brett Favre road, and then he becomes kind of a joke.
Although he could take 12 Angels, his new yacht, 77-foot yacht, and sail it from the Florida Keys all the way up.
Up to where?
San Francisco.
It's a long trip. That's a long journey.
He could dock it at Alcatraz. Tom Brady living on Alcatraz, floating in.
Yeah, you're right.
That'd be great.
Brady, come on back.
Yeah, it would be great. It would be great.
I'd get whatever awkwardness, we'd get over it fast, right?
I would definitely.
I know you would.
I definitely would forgive you.
Yes, you would.
All right, man. That pretty much does it, right?
It does.
Okay. That's it for the Stinking Truth Podcast. We appreciate you guys listening and watching. Make sure you like us, subscribe, share it with a friend. And for Mike, I am Mark. We appreciate you, and we'll be back with you later on in the week.